Good evening. I'm Terry Stallo, and I am proud to serve as the superintendent of Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. Welcome to all of you who will soon be sending your children to kindergarten, and welcome to those of you who are listening in that are soon to be kindergarten students or siblings of kindergarten students. Thank you for tuning in tonight to hear about the amazing kindergarten programs we have to offer. The quality learning experience we provide is because we have dedicated people in every corner of the school district. Tonight, I am here with our elementary principals and our kids company coordinator, and at this time, I will ask them to introduce themselves.
Good evening, Jennifer Molitor, principal at Glendale.
Hello, Katie Sherman, principal at Five Hawks.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen Zwolenski, principal at Hamilton Ridge.
Good evening, I'm Barb Yetzer, and I'm the principal of Red Tail Ridge Elementary.
Hello, I am principal at Westwood Elementary and Sage Academy, and my name is Caroline Warner.
Hi, I'm Patrick Glenn, and I'm the principal at Jeffers Pond Elementary.
Hello, hola, buenas noches. I am Richie Kuczynski, and I am the principal of Lola del Lago Spanish Immersion, and I am actually at home tonight presenting virtually. My daughter tested positive for COVID, so we are quarantined. Everyone is feeling okay though, but that's what we're doing tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Boston, the Kids Company Coordinator.
We will do our best to answer the questions that were submitted in advance throughout our information session tonight. If you have any additional questions during this session, would you please submit them via the Google form that can be found at this URL, and I'm going to read it a couple of times. It's bit.ly/K-info. So bit.ly/K-info, bit.ly/K-info. Or, of course, you can scan the QR code that's on your screen. It will appear numerous times on the different slides throughout this presentation. We will also answer more questions at the end of the session, which is being recorded and will be posted on our website tomorrow.
Our community-created strategic plan outlines our promise to you. Our mission is to educate all learners to reach their full potential as contributing and productive members of our ever-changing global community. This mission gives us permission and responsibility to implement our shared values and our strategic directions, which are the goals that lead us to achieve our vision and mission. We align all of our work and all of our programs, including our kindergarten program, to our strategic plan to ensure great experience for our students in a high-performing and quality school district.
We know that every child learns differently. Therefore, we believe all kindergartners need a variety of developmentally appropriate activities throughout their day to grow their gross and fine motor skills, cognitive development, and social and emotional development as well. We provide this education through highly trained licensed teachers who have a passion for education. They are ready to deliver high-quality instruction and a successful kindergarten experience to your child. Here is a short video about a day in the life of a kindergartner pre-COVID-19.
When kindergartners at Prior Lake Savage Area Schools step off the bus, they step into a world of learning and exploration.
They come skipping, ready to be here, share stories about themselves.
Prior Lake Savage Area Schools offers traditional full-day kindergarten as well as a full-day Spanish immersion kindergarten program at Lola del Lago.
Our kindergarten program provides a well-rounded curriculum in which our students have the ability to discover, explore, learn, investigate.
These kindergarten programs promote social, emotional, physical, and intellectual growth. Each child is introduced to a wide range of academic curriculum that helps develop the whole child.
A typical day in kindergarten would start with a settle-in in the classroom and a breakfast, followed by reading, writing, a specialist, which would include gym, art, music, library. After that, we would head to lunch and recess, math, and round out the day with an E-STEM activity. We try and incorporate an E-STEM activity with all curriculum as much as possible.
Volunteering in the school has allowed me to meet other parents and get to know the teachers better, and also just helps build community.
The classrooms are so student-centered. They're flexible, inviting, colorful.
The growth that we see in kindergarten is exceptional and amazing. The independence that they gain is immeasurable.
It's a great feeling to know that my kids are at a school where they are loved and nurtured, from the principal and the teachers to the custodians and those who work in the lunch service and all the specialists.
Welcome to kindergarten!
It is our hope that all students will be back to in-person learning as soon as it is possible, especially for the start of next school year. We also know some of you may be curious about how we implemented hybrid learning for kindergarten students and what to expect, should the district need to implement it again. Hybrid in-school days are quite typical school days, and the small class sizes allow the teachers to get to know the students very well and focus on the new learning. During hybrid at-home days, we've learned to partner with parents and guardians, with daycares, and even with our own on-site kids company daycare to provide many teacher and student connections along with online and paper pencil structured activities to practice the new learning at home. Here's a short video that was taken while we were in hybrid learning. Welcome to kindergarten!
Welcome to kindergarten.
Welcome to kindergarten.
Welcome to kindergarten.
Bienvenidos a kinder. Welcome to kindergarten.
Welcome to kindergarten.
Welcome to kindergarten.
COVID-19 has affected almost all the routines that we offer for our students in kindergarten. However, we have done a wonderful job in adjusting to some new routines to provide a great educational experience for your child. In our hybrid model, your child will spend part of their time at home for in-home learning and part of the time at school for in-school learning.
So some of the things that are the same is that we still get to go outside. We go outside here at Jeffers Pond as often as we can. We know outdoor learning is so great for kids. We still play. They are able to interact socially at a safe distance. We still do our art projects, and all of the subjects that we're learning are exactly the same.
During your hybrid at-home days, you have the option to enroll in Kids Company, where you can have the support from an adult here at school to help students through their at-home work schedule.
Our amazing kindergarten teachers have done a fabulous job connecting with their home hybrid students. They do this through a variety of activities that include small group, individual, and whole group activities that include songs, repetition, rhymes, and an opportunity for students to connect with their peers.
And the kids come to school happy. They want to be here.
I have been adopted. I love kindergarten. I love kindergarten. I love kindergarten.
We all love kindergarten. Our full-day kindergarten program is located in each of our elementary schools. If you are unsure which attendance boundary you are located in, a school finder is located on our website that you can access. Our Lola del Lago students will be bused wherever you live in our district boundaries. With a full-day kindergarten experience comes two options for our families: the traditional full-day kindergarten and the full-day Spanish immersion program, La Ola del Lago at Greenwood. Minnesota provides tuition-free full-day kindergarten to all public school families. Prior Lake Savage Area Schools has been providing full-day kindergarten since 2006 and has experience providing a high level of service to our families. The students attend their boundary school. Transportation is provided for K through 5. We have buses. Free breakfast for all kindergarten students is provided. Lunch program is available. Our start times in our buildings vary, and before and after school childcare is available for our families. We'll start out tonight by highlighting the full-day kindergarten experience and then move into the main components of kindergarten Spanish immersion. Both programs have a very similar curriculum. The graph in front of us highlights the curriculum used for full-day kindergarten. When you look at our core curriculum areas, we have social readiness and work habits and responsive classroom. What does that look like for our learners in our classroom? That means morning meeting, a time for us to come together as a classroom and get to know one another. It talks about our rules and our logical consequences and helps us get our classroom organized and ready for our day. We have our reading time, which inquires about whole group instruction, small group guided reading sessions, and independent reading. That helps us reach all of our learners. Writing, which again has our whole group instruction, small group guided writing sessions, and some independent writing time for our students to practice what they have learned. And we have the math expressions, curriculum for math. Again, we do the same type of thing where we do a whole group instruction and then some small guided instruction along with independent practice. We are an eSTEM school district, and so we try to get our students outside to enjoy nature and learn more about all of the different aspects of nature and eSTEM while we're outside. And then your students will also have social studies and specialists. They will have the opportunity to have music, art, FIED, media, and technology. In this part, we also have a question. The question is, in what ways do the children receive individualized instruction, whether it is more advanced work or maybe that the child needs a little extra help with certain subjects or topics? And we provide that through that small group instruction. So our teachers do a whole group instruction, and then they break off into small group instruction with the students in order to enhance the learning for our students, or maybe give some extra support for our students. We also have reading interventionists in our building that help with our tiered instruction and interventions with our students. The next part of the question is how many learning specialists per elementary school, and how is that organized within the context of the first part of the question? And so our students, we have one learning specialists, we call them reading interventionists in our building, and they work with our K-1 students, and they also provide for supports through our 2 through 5 teachers. And we do that through our small group instruction with our learners on a day-to-day basis.
Good evening, everybody. We'll now talk about our Spanish immersion program. This is our first year in our own school, so we are in the K-5 elementary, which we're very excited about to have our own space. And we're going to watch some video here that will share some of the highlights of what a typical day looks like in Spanish immersion.
It's called La Ola del Lago, the Wave of the Lake, the Spanish immersion school at Prior Lake Savage Area Schools.
Immersion education is kind of a gateway to understanding our global world.
From the moment they walk into school, these students are surrounded by the Spanish language.
It allows students the ability to connect with other people that speak a different language. It increases cognitive flexibility thinking. It allows students to see things from a different perspective.
Curriculum parallels traditional English-speaking elementary classes where all students achieve at high levels, but is taught with Spanish words, phrases, and images.
One of the things that we always do is singing. Kids love to sing, and that's how they acquire vocabulary. That's how they get so engaged in the language.
Research has proven the immersion experience enhances English language development, problem solving, and creativity. Everything students learn is transferable across languages.
Me llamo la Ola del Lago porque tengo muy amable maestras y maestros.
The same academic standards of traditional classrooms in the district are applied at La Ola del Lago, and most students here do not come from Spanish-speaking homes.
When they learn at a younger age, their brain captures both languages, even 3, 4, and just develop them.
Parents are encouraged to be enthusiastic and supportive, just as they would if their child was in an English-speaking classroom.
Immersion education is very important in every country because help the students to have a very, very open mind.
personal experience has been that our daughter now going into 3rd grade is far and above even how she can read in English compared to her older siblings.
I think a lot of the benefits have yet to be seen because we're looking into the future. I think about employment opportunities.
As we're teaching the kids the Spanish language, they're picking up those nuances and picking up those mannerisms as well as the language itself.
Students learn from repetition, music, visual instruction, active participation, and from each other.
As Ms. Molitor shared in the earlier slide, the curriculum is very much parallels the English schools in the district. We follow the same responsive classroom and positive behavior intervention system as well. For our reading and writing, we use the same strategies of large group and small group instruction and individualized. But we also have our new K-5 language arts curriculum, Spanish language arts curriculum. It's called Benchmark Taller, and it was just published actually this summer. So we're very excited to have a new system that we're working with. And then kind of the parallel program to that is the writing. It's called Benchmark del Escritor, and that is the writing curriculum that we are currently working on. For math, we as well use math expressions, expresiones in Spanish, and then the same thing with the STEM and the science and the social studies. So our specialists are taught in English, just because that's our teachers speak that language. So that's a time of the day when the kindergartners, they say the first few weeks they really like the specialist teachers, they make those connections with them. So the goals of Spanish immersion are for students to develop proficient language in both Spanish and English. Again, we use the same rigorous academic content as the other content areas, and we really incorporate a lot of cross-cultural learning and globalization as we think about who we are as citizens and how speaking a second language or sometimes a third language can help us be global citizens. As parents, you do not need to speak Spanish. You can still find ways to help your child with homework, math facts, and reading. Those things you would normally do as with your child. Our kindergarten teachers especially are really good at partnering with our families in terms of the instructions that they deliver and the activities that they have and the learning models that they give. They are very able to provide the details and how to have parents help at home with that. One thing that parents ask is they should really embrace the philosophy of immersion education. Encourage your children to persevere. I know sometimes during the first few months of kindergarten especially, you might hear a child say, I don't understand my teacher, I don't know what's going on. Just encourage them to take risks and try their best to follow along. Research consistently shows that immersion experience enhances languages. Vocabulary and grammar are the only two components to read during vocabulary and grammar are only two components of learning to read. During the primary years, students' English development may lag a little bit in their early grades because the instruction is taught in Spanish. Of course, but they will learn such as word knowledge and spelling while instruction in Spanish is occurring. However, research consistently finds that by 5th grade, the discrepancy disappears in immersion students and they perform well. With that, I do want to just take a moment to plug. You'll see later on in the slide, we are having a separate Lola del Lago parent panel and our kindergarten teachers next Tuesday. So that was publicized with this presentation as well. So if you're interested in learning more specific things about Lola del Lago or having a chance to ask questions, that will be a chance to Tuesday at 6 o'clock. The information will be shared later in this slide. And we did have a couple submitted questions. One of them was, how easy is it to transfer to Spanish immersion like Eden Prairie or Minnetonka from Lola del Lago in a later grade? The answer to that is that it's very simple. We actually do quite a few students that move to Prior Lake that have been at other immersion school, either in locally or sometimes from out of state. Or we also have had families that are at Lola del Lago and they need to move and they enroll in another immersion school. The other question here was, how many children per grade level and per classroom? And what is the max allowed per classroom? Our Lola del Lago kindergarten follows the same district guidelines in terms of what the other schools have. Right now, most kindergarten classes across the district are at around 21 or 22. And the other one that was submitted was, is it true that students should not be taught how to learn how to read prior to entering kindergarten? And that is actually not something that we would recommend. We have students that come to kindergarten reading chapter books, some of them, and we have some students that come to kindergarten just know that a few letters, and they learn that there too. So we definitely encourage families to read at home in English, if that's language spoken at home, with their child, asking them how to dissect a story or how to do things like that too. So again, with that, thank you, and I hope this presentation worked virtually.
Very good. Well, we are very proud of our environmental education. And Prior Lake Savage Area Schools is known for our environmental education. In fact, our district is recognized as a Green Ribbon Sustainability District by the U.S. Department of Education. We have a rich history as an E-STEM district. Our K-5 elementary schools were the first district-wide E-STEM schools in the state of Minnesota. E-STEM stands for science, technology, environmental education, science, technology, engineering, and math. Students in all grade levels participate in E-STEM projects that integrate environmental education and science concepts into the grade level curriculum. Moving to technology, in alignment with our district mission to prepare learners to reach their full potential in this ever-changing global community, we believe that 21st century skills are essential outcomes of a student's education. Technology can help students become skillful collaborators, communicators, creators, and critical thinkers. Our goal at Prior Lake Savage Area Schools is to utilize technology to increase engagement and opportunities to learn anytime, anywhere, which is exactly what we're doing right now. All kindergarten students have access to iPads for instructional use during the day. In addition, all students in grades K-5 learn fundamental computer concepts and skills as part of their media class using both digital resources and hands-on resources. Kindergarten students begin learning to code through games and activities that teach them to solve a problem by using a series of commands. Coding is a basic literacy in the digital age, and it helps our children with communication skills, creativity, with their math and their writing, all the while improving their problem solving and collaboration skills. We also embrace responsive classroom in all of our elementary classrooms. We believe there's a set of social emotional skills that are equally important to school success as academic skills. All of our kindergarten students learn and practice the principles of responsive classroom to teach the social skills of CARES, which stands for cooperation, assertion, responsibility, empathy, and self-control. Some of the practices that we use to build a safe and positive classroom climate include a morning meeting each day, classroom rules that the kids set up with their teacher, logical consequences, good classroom organization, guided discovery, and a strong partnership with parents and guardians. All of our kindergarten through grade 5 classrooms use the responsive classroom approach.
We love parent volunteers. In addition to working with your child's teacher on volunteer opportunities, each elementary school also has a parent volunteer group called the PTC. All of our schools also have a dogs group, which means dads of great students. Both of these groups partner with the school for fundraising, school events, and also to promote school spirit. We welcome parents to volunteer in all of our buildings and during class field trips. To ensure the safety of our students, we do require criminal background checks on the following: any volunteer who accompanies students off campus or off site, such as a chaperone for field trips, or any volunteer who is responsible for working with students on site, but not under the supervision of a licensed teacher. Background checks for volunteers need to be done one time per year, either at the beginning of the school year or 1 calendar year from the last date of volunteer service. The background checks are $21 and are to be paid online by the volunteer. But of course, if a cost is a hardship, please reach out to your building principal directly. All elementary schools have a before and after school child care program called Kids Company. Kids Company is open Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. until the start of the school day, and from the end of the school day until 6 p.m. during the school year. Kids Company is also offered during the summer months. To enroll in Kids Company, please contact our Community Education Services Department. More information will be available during our formal kindergarten enrollment session in January. Kelly Vossen, our District Kids Company Coordinator, is also attending with us tonight to answer any questions at the end if necessary. There are 2 different elementary start times. The early start schools are Five Hawks and Red Tail Ridge. Their school hours are from 8:30 to 3 o'clock, and Glendale, Hamilton Ridge, Jeffers Pond, La Ola del Lago at Grainwood, and Westwood School Day is from 9:20 to 3:50.
And our resident families are those who reside within the district boundaries of Prior Lake Savage area schools. You can see this map again that highlights 6 boundary schools. And as you heard from Mr. Kuczynski, La Ola del Lago services and supports students from around our district, and so therefore serves all of our students and does include busing. In-district transfer requests will be granted for siblings of students that are part of our SAGE program or part of one of our center-based special education programs. And we will start accepting those in-district transfer forms on January 14th when we have our enrollment open for our kindergarten for next year. There are forms that are available on our website, and then we ask that those be turned in by March of 2021 so that we can begin planning for next year. Prior Lake Savage Area School welcomes non-resident students as Lakers through Minnesota Department of Education Open Enrollment Program. In Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, our open enrollment applies only to the families who do not reside within those district boundaries of our school district. Open enrollment families, as just a clarification, are requesting that enrollment and becoming that Laker in one of our schools. We do ask within that form that you list 3 different schools you would be interested in. That enrollment is to our district, not to a specific site within that district. We balance that piece out to make sure that we're within our building capacity and managing our building and our district class sizes. And then just to lay out that open enrollment timeline, you can see through this slide, we are in the spot now where we are accepting open enrollment applications for the 2021-22 school year, and then forms are available on our website. Also, our school board will be discussing our open enrollment plans for next year during the study session coming up on December 14th. If our school board decides and determines open enrollment limitations are needed, we will make sure to update our website and put that information out on December 15th. And the final piece of that process, school placement, will be announced to those students that are approved and those open enrollment families, and you'll find out in May, which will align with the rest of the timeline that you'll hear later on in the presentation to make sure that we are able to start school and welcome our families.
So get ready, everyone, because enrollment is opening soon. Beginning on January 14th, visit our district's enrollment page to begin the student registration process. Families, we strongly encourage you to enroll your child online between January 14th and 29th. Resident families interested in La Ola del Lago are encouraged to enroll by February 8th. If more than 92 resident students enroll, a lottery will be held on February 9th. Please have your child's most recent immunization record ready to upload, along with your student's birth certificate or passport. Enrollment will be available online at the address that is posted here on the slide, or if you need some assistance with a district computer, give us a call at 952-226-0000 for an appointment. I'm going to add in a couple of submitted questions here. We have a question about registering our son for the 2021 school year, and the question is, do we have the option of deferring him to 2022 in the event we decide he is not ready to begin given his August birthday? So first of all, yes, you must re-register. So we will not hold on to that registration. You will, next January, once again, re-register. And then additionally, for open enrollment, that will not hold your spot until 2022. Instead, once again, we encourage you to re-register. A second question is do we anticipate higher enrollments and class numbers for the coming year? Well, we sure hope so. We're excited to get as many kindergartners as we can enrolled. And while we can't determine what that enrollment will be, we aren't sure yet, we will continue to hold to our classroom guidelines with our class sizes. So that will still fall within the guidelines of, approximately, as Mr. Kuczynski said, around the low 20s, but it ranges anywhere from 18 to about 24 students. We often also get questions from parents about late summer birthdays. And so what we recommend to you is just talk to your preschool provider or daycare provider, have conversations with them. And also on our webpage, we do have a beautiful guidance sheet that you can access and look at some of the behaviors and items that would help you guide your decision if your child is ready. And of course, you may have a child that has a birthday between September 2nd and October 15th, so they don't reach that age of 5 until then. And you may wonder, maybe they're ready, or maybe they're 100% ready, and you're seeing some skills that show that they're ready to start kindergarten. Is there anything you would need to do to start an early admission? And yes, there is. So here's what you do. Take a look at the school finder, find out which school you will be attending in the fall, and then give that school a call their office, and the principal there will give you a call back and guide you through that process for early entrance. Many of you may have already done this, but if you haven't, please schedule your early childhood screening now by calling Edgewood School at 952-226-0975. This is a great screener that helps you discover more about your students' development and learning, such as thinking, language and communication skills, social and emotional development, large and small muscle coordination, height and weight, vision and hearing, and immunization status. As soon as your child actually reaches the age of 3 years and 2 months, they are eligible for this screening. Additionally, in August, we invite all of our kindergartners in to meet a kindergarten teacher and have a chance to tour the school and look around and have a reading assessment. So here's our countdown to kindergarten. First off, our Loyola del Lago at Greenwood Spanish Immersion will have a Google Meet on December 8th at 6 o'clock p.m. In early January, you look for a brochure that will be coming your way in the mail about our kindergarten program. On January 14th, that's your chance. Please get online and get enrolled in kindergarten for the 2021-22 school year. Also, as I mentioned earlier, in August, we will also have the Great Start to Kindergarten Assessment Days. One of the features of our program is that each springtime, we do have kindergarten tours, and we have an opportunity where we invite all of our kindergartners who have been registered into each of our elementary school for a tour and a visit with our teachers, and a chance for you as parents to talk to the teachers and the principal. We hope to do that again. In fact, we do that every year, but it will all depend on the safety protocols that we have in place, and like I said, we sure hope to be doing that this May.
All right, thank you, team, for presenting today. For our audience out there, this is kind of the end of the presentation in the slide format, and we're going to entertain some questions that have been coming our way throughout the presentation. I'm going to start, and as a team, we're going to try to answer these as best as we can. One of the questions that came was, do I provide snacks for my child, or does the school? And I'm going to answer that one. All the schools, every parent has an opportunity to provide a snack for their child to bring to school. That's not a problem. And there are some of our elementary schools that actually have snack programs as well. And you'll have to check with your child's school whether or not they offer that. So, but at any point, families can send snacks to school with their children. Here's another question. What have you learned over the last year to better handle distance learning for kindergarten? And I had a chance to reflect on that a little bit, and there were three things that kind of came to my mind, and I'm sure that there might be others. I think number one is that we figured out a very successful and appropriate daily schedule for a kindergartner. Number two, the correct balance between screen time, paper pencil work, activity, arts and crafts. We figured that piece out as well. And I would think, you know, maybe most importantly is that the focus is on small group instruction and having our teachers work with those small groups to really grow those children rather than spending too much time in whole group for distance learning. So those were three things that I thought of. The second part of that question is when kids cannot read, may not know how to use devices on their own. I think that really layers in the one-to-one opportunity that a family would have with their child's classroom teacher. That teacher will spend time helping grow that relationship and start those skills if there needs to be on a one-to-one basis. Okay, now I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to volley some out to my colleagues here. Let's start with this one. Are we able to pull our children out of COVID precautions should they still be in place next school year? I'll read it again. Are we able to pull our children out of COVID precautions at school should we still have them in place to start next school year? Meaning maybe we start the school year in hybrid or we start someplace in the dial. Would we be able to take our child out of that and have them have school at home or provide school at home? And is there somebody that wants to answer that?
I think we would probably do it the same way that we've done it this year, and it would depend on where we're at with, with the precautions that we need to be taking, whether it's hybrid or full distance learning. But also, we have Distance Learning Academy as well. So There's always that option to enroll your child in that distance learning academy. So we work with every family based on what their need is and what they need for their child and for their family.
Here's a question around special education. How do parents best go about gaining special education testing for their child?
What we do is we invite our students in and we begin the process of educating them with the core curriculum that we have, and that's called our Tier 1. And along the way, our teachers are highly adept at observing students and seeing what their needs are. And if we see that they have some interventions that are required, they will get those implemented, whether they're in reading or math or behavior interventions. Once those interventions run a course, because we have a very clear process about when we see students with particular needs, then we make a determination after weeks and conversations with parents as to whether or not they would require a special ed evaluation.
The only thing I would say to follow up on that is if the child has an IEP in early childhood, that would follow that child into the elementary school, and we would, of course, continue services in whatever areas needed.
Thank you. Is there a kindergarten that has more E-STEM than other kindergartens? More outdoor learning?
No, we are very aligned in our curriculum, and we want to really make that clear to parents that every content area, including the E-STEM programming that we have in our schools, while we do have different environments at each of our schools, we implement all of that core curriculum for the E-STEM activities and learning experiences.
Believe it or not, our teachers are excellent at finding those unique places and spaces outside. And we really learned that a lot this year, especially the beginning of the year when we did a lot of outside learning.
Does our district provide other language opportunities or small language programs at other schools outside of the Spanish Immersion School?
Will you repeat that question, please?
Absolutely. Does our district offer other language programs at our other schools, elementary schools, outside of Spanish Immersion?
No, Spanish Immersion is the only language that we currently have in an elementary school. I know teachers across our district, they like to plug in different languages and things in their morning meetings and throughout the day, just teaching kids, obviously that global experience too.
Mr. Kuczynski, I've got a couple of questions here for you. Can you switch from English to Spanish immersion in later grades, or do they have to start in kindergarten?
That's a really good question. I get that quite frequently. Every year we do have a few students that either didn't know about the Spanish immersion program or they moved in and they might want to start in first grade. And we really kind of handle that on a case-by-case basis with families. We're very upfront with them about what the challenges might be and what a day might look like. Every once in a while, we might have a family that moves in and they're curious to know what my second grader wants to join Spanish Immersion. And really what we do is we have them come visit for a day and see what it's like. Because we sometimes have families that might speak Spanish at home and they didn't enroll in Lola del Lago, but they want to do it later on. And it really is a case-by-case basis. But one of the things that we found is that students that start probably in about first grade, and again, it's just a handful that we've had over the years, but they really do okay. Again, it's really encouraging the parents to know what's ahead of them and to know what it's going to be. The nice thing is that their peers really do help them out. So if there is a student who does start later, for example, we've had a few students join kindergarten this year after first quarter, and they, not coming from a Spanish immersion school, and their peers really do pick them up in terms of that. So we don't really have a blanket policy about it, but we do take it on a case-by-case basis. So.
Mr. Kuczynski, I have another one. If my child attends Loyola del Lago, where would she attend before and after school childcare? At Loyola or at their home neighborhood school?
That is a great question. We have an amazing kids company staff right on site at Loyola del Lago. It is wonderful. We do have quite a few Spanish-speaking staff that support the learning and the language before school and after school. And right now, as I think Mr. Glenn talked about it earlier, during the, when we are doing all distance learning for everybody, we do have our tier 1 and some families that have, for a fee-based, do have childcare on site, and they do provide support with the Spanish language, but also with the homework, just as the same as every other elementary school. So.
I've got one final one for you. Would a Spanish immersion program still be recommended for a child that A, is completely unfamiliar with Spanish, and or B, has minor speech pronunciation delays in English?
Great question, thank you. Yes, we're definitely a proponent that Spanish immersion is an option for any student and any family. Being that they don't have any exposure to the language, that's very common for a lot of our families and a lot of our students. They come day one and they might know uno, dos, tres, or a few colors, or how to say hola, and that's where we meet them at. So in terms of the speech question, we do have our very own speech therapist at Loyola del Lago. Those services are provided in English, just because that's the student's home language. But we do have our very own speech therapist who's wonderful. And if whoever had that question, if you would like to follow up with me, you can find my information online, and I can put you in contact with our speech therapist.
Thank you. Here's a question about eSTEM. How much are arts involved in eSTEM? I've heard eSTEM, in which the arts are also incorporated into the STEM to become STEAM.
In our district, we really put the emphasis on the environmental learning, and so the arts piece are infused throughout the day as part of our specialist areas. I would say that all of us could say, especially with our kindergartners, we're going to be able to see those arts within all of the activities and things that come from our outdoor learning. So I would say what you would see and experience for your students would be, a lot of that letter finding and a lot of the art pieces that come from our outdoor learning. And so our emphasis on that might look a little bit different than a specific, a STEAM district, but I can guarantee that our students will have lots of art experiences that will help them enrich and grow in their thinking.
Thank you. Dr. Warner, I have another one specific about SAGE here. Please discuss what the SAGE program is in some detail, and then how that impacts kindergarten registration for someone without a sibling.
Excellent. So the SAGE program is a school within a school. It's actually housed at our Westwood Elementary. And SAGE actually stands for the School for the Advancement of Gifted Education. And so that serves students that really we're looking at that full-time gifted and talented program for the grades 3, 4, and 5 for students who qualify from the entire district. And so the reasoning why, and I shared on the slide previously about the siblings is because it is grades 3, 4, and 5. And so if we were to have a family that had some siblings that were younger and they already had students that were already within our SAGE program, that's where we honor and have that ability to keep the family together as part of that in-district transfer. A specific impact on a kindergarten family would not be something all families, if students qualify when they become third graders or fourth graders or fifth graders, no matter what their home school is, would have that opportunity to come to Westwood and to attend in the SAGE program. So there isn't anything that would be, needed right now with the kindergarten family to be thinking about that. That's something that we work all together and look at our second graders and have a process where we identify students and then invite students in for that program. But that specific program, like I said, for our third, fourth, and fifth graders is really designed to challenge and support and inspire our learners. We have a rigorous developmentally appropriate curriculum. We look at what students need, and then also making sure that we're really meeting that specific need because of some of those areas that students are already knowing. And so how do we continue to grow that depth and breadth of their learning?
Thank you. Here's a couple of questions about registration. Once a child is accepted for open enrollment, does that carry on automatically through grade 12?
That does maintain. So once you are a Laker, you are always a Laker, and we are excited to have you throughout the entire educational career that we get to share with you.
If my child did screening in a different district, I think this is early childhood, does she have to do another screening for our district?
They would not. We just ask for that information from that current district or from where that screening was done. That's just really good developmental information for us to be able to support the need and growth for our kindergartner students, but we don't need to do that screening additionally.
Here's one, Mr. Kaczynski, maybe kind of for you. If you want to do Spanish immersion, should you register to both schools in case my child is not accepted?
That is a great question. Thank you. The answer to that is you would, on the registration, you select Lola del Lago, or you would select if you're not interested in Spanish immersion. If for some reason there was above the lottery, any child would still be granted access to their home school. So for example, if you are enrolled in the Five Hawks district, and if you are interested in Lola del Lago and you sign up for it, and we get more resident students than above the max that we can handle, then you would still have space available in Five Hawks, of course. Another thing that happens sometimes, though, is even if we do have more interest than we have spaces for, our waiting list really does fluctuate quite a bit from January to the start of September. We have a lot of families that either move out of the district or choose to hold their child back or choose to make another choice. And that wait list is always evolving. I'm constantly talking with our enrollment department about where we at, how many numbers we have. Over the course of the school year since the start, we have added kids that were not accepted at the beginning, and they were able to start later in the school year. So I've had many situations, this kind of goes back to the previous question, I've had many situations over the course of the years where we might have our kindergarten is full at the beginning, we have a student that moves to a different location, or their family moves out of state. Immediately we go back to that waiting list and we look at how many kids are there, and then every student has a number, and then our enrollment department will call and offer a question. Are you interested in Lola del Lago? And it's either yes or no. And if it's a yes, we have a conversation, and we usually have a visit, and we'll make them come and start. The other part of it too is we also have that wait list ongoing throughout, even into first grade there. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. Do incoming kindergartners have to do early childhood pre-screening?
I would say it's very strongly recommended that we have that information.
I would recommend yes as well. Can you open enroll to another school? And I think this means, can you in-district transfer to another school in your district that might be closer to your house and still have a bus?
And I'll just state, what we shared earlier in the presentation around the in-district. So those in-district transfer requests will only be granted for siblings of students who are in those programs that we listed. So that's Sage Academy, which is housed at Westwood, and for any of our center-based programs, which are in our special education programs. So there isn't the option to choose a different school within our if you are a resident within, unless it would qualify under a sibling in one of those programs. And then just to also say, if the question came from the open enrollment status, that open enrollment is just enrollment into our district. And then we just use the information that we have to build for our building capacity and our class sizes to manage that piece. And then we'll be able to make that placement after.
Thank you. My son has a special need and will need some accommodations in some areas. Who and when would I talk to, and what is the best time to talk to somebody about special ed services?
I would say that you could definitely talk to any of the building principals and start that conversation with us, and then we can guide you to any other information that you would need, and provide meetings with any of the other people that we would need to bring in to make sure that your son would start the year with everything that he would need to be successful.
Thank you. Can we find a bus schedule online as to what time they need to be picked up for us to determine if we need early daycare or not?
You cannot find a bus schedule online, but you can reach out to the bus company to ask them. They generally do not establish their bus routes and times until right before school starts. So that would be the time that you would be able to reach out to them and gather that information.
And I'm going to add just something to that as well. And it kind of depends too on where you're located near the elementary school that your child will be going to, because typically, if you're fairly close to the school, the bus routes don't take very long. And I think any of us as principals, if you reached out to us to, ask us some of those questions to help you before any routes are established, we could definitely help you with that too.
Here's a great question. My child has been out of daycare and school setting for all of 2020. Are the teachers prepared for possibly a bit more chaotic start to next school year without my child having been in that school environment?
We are ready, and we can't wait to have them. We are navigating this right now, so we are really aware of how our families and our children are doing right now, currently with our kinders, and teachers are very adept and observational. They know, and we're ready to go. Yep, and we'll help them every step of the way.
And we've had a strong focus on our social emotional learning this year, because we expected our current kindergartners to also be a little rusty, if you will, and really a strong focus on those social emotional skills that we talked about in the presentation, that those are equally important as the academic skills that they'll be learning in the classroom. We're ready, and we do it all the time.
Thank you. Do all of the children need to be up to date on vaccinations to begin kindergarten?
Yes, they do. That is required for them to be up to date with their vaccinations. Now, we also realize that children may be in the process of a series of vaccinations, and we understand that, and we work with our families to help and help you get those completed and use the timeline that you have in order to get those completed.
Thank you. Is there a max for how many kindergarten students are in one class?
Yes, we generally run kindergarten classrooms that, we have anywhere between 18 and 23, 24 this year, and we don't go above and beyond that in general.
Due to COVID, is there more opportunities to do more outdoor learning going forward for kindergarten in the future?
I think COVID has just helped us realize what a big piece of the learning day that is for our kids and our teachers. So yes, we've recommitted to that. Not that we ever stepped away, but there's been bigger need during COVID.
Thank you. How do we find out what district we're in?
You mean the school boundaries, I presume?
I
yep.
think school boundaries. Which school district?
Go to our website and go under. It's called School Finder, and you just plug in your street address, and voila, it will tell you which school you are in the boundaries for.
Dr. Warner, here's for you. How do kids qualify for SAGE?
What we do is work with our second graders, with our families and with our second grade teachers, and we identify students that have that high potential, that idea to be able to support them with higher academic levels. And we have a series of assessments that we use in addition to that observation and really looking at what students' needs are. That process, as we are in a new and different age, right now, looking at what that looks like with our assessments. And so we develop that timeline. And so you can watch our website for what that new timeline will be for our second graders this year to be identified and invited in for third grade next year.
Thank you. Ms. Vossen, if you're still on, I've got a question for you. Is there a cost to the after-school program? And if there is a cost, what would that be?
Great question. Yes, there is a fee associated with before and after school care. Currently, it's $12 for before or after school care. That may change prior to the start of next year, but we will post all that information on our Kids Company webpage on the district website.
Thank you. If we have not done the screening, early childhood screening prior to registration, can we still register?
Yes, by all means, please register.
Mr. Kuczynski, I've got 2 questions for you here. We have 3 boys who are attending Spanish immersion daycare in the area. Would they get any preference in enrollment at La Ola del Lago?
That is a common question I get, and the answer to that is no. The only thing that we look at is we do reserve those spots for resident families, but we don't. Where a child attends preschool does not give them priority over another student. So.
Here's one more. How often is a lottery needed for La Ola del Lago?
We have reached our cap the last couple years. As we've grown over the last, this is our 7th year, believe it or not. We've grown, we've pretty much hit our cap the last few years. So again, that early registration is key and crucial to resident families. Again, priority does go to resident families. If we are above the threshold that we are, we would have a lottery. One thing to mention though is if you currently have a child or a sibling in the district, they are actually given priority over families that is the first child coming into the district. And then on top of that, once we fill it with resident families, we can start a wait list of resident. And then on top of that, we would then have our interested open enrollment families, they would start a wait list as well. And again, our wait list has been as high. By the time that September date comes around, we might have a spot for them. Again, I cannot stress enough, we have a lot of families that might apply to multiple immersion schools, or they just want the option there to see what happens and maybe they're interested. But over the course of those many months, we really encourage you to keep your name on that list to see what happens. So don't get discouraged. Again, if you have any further questions, I know the enrollment process can be kind of a little bit confusing. Please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk you through that.
Thank you. Are the school boundaries based only on where you live, or is it based on preschool daycare provider location?
School boundaries are based on where you live, so where that residence on that enrollment is.
Thank you. I think we have 2 questions left here. 2. Recent clinical studies have shown that some immunizations may pose health risks. How strict is your policy, and would you require a doctor's note for an exemption?
So we can provide an opt-out form for families that choose to opt out of those exemptions, and you would request that from us, and our nurses, our health aide, will work with you on that to help you fill out that form and make sure that is turned into us.
Thank you. Our last question here, and it's a great one. Dr. Stallo is going to love this one. How do we ensure no kid is left behind academically?
This is what we do every day, and we love what we do. And you will soon learn, if you don't have a child in our district yet, that our teachers have a passion for meeting students where they're at, and they tailor instruction to meet their needs. And we don't leave anybody behind here in this district. And I say that with absolute conviction and evidence. Anybody else?
I guess I would just piggyback on that one and say that our team of administrators too are very, we want to hear from parents. So if you're feeling that your child isn't getting what they need, obviously we always ask that you reach out to the teacher, and if you're not feeling like you're getting what you need for your child, then we want you to reach out to us, because we too want to make sure that every child is making that progress that every child deserves to make.
Thank you. And we want to thank our audience out there. If you still have questions, right, we would like you to please reach out and contact your building principal, and all the contact information is here on this last slide. This session has been recorded and will be posted to our website tomorrow, and we want you to have a great evening. Thanks for participating. There's lots of smiles in the room right now. We can't wait to see your kindergartner in our schools next fall. Have a great evening.